The room is dark, except for the blue glow of a laptop screen. Sarah, late 20s, exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, sits hunched over her desk, typing frantically. Empty coffee cups litter the surface. She pauses, rubbing her temples. The apartment is silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator in the distance. Then, a soft creak. Sarah's fingers freeze over the keyboard. She slowly turns toward her bedroom door, which stands wide open to the darkened hallway beyond. Nothing moves. She exhales, shaking her head at herself, and returns to typing. Another creak, louder this time. Sarah spins around in her chair. The door is still open, but now it seems darker somehow. The hallway beyond looks deeper than it should be. Sarah, whispering to herself, "Stop it. You're just tired." She forces herself to focus on the screen, but her eyes keep darting back to the doorway. The silence feels thick now, oppressive. Then, without warning, the door begins to move, slowly, deliberately, closing inch by inch with an agonizing creak that sets Sarah's teeth on edge. Sarah, standing abruptly. "Hello?" The door continues its slow arc, 20 degrees, 30, 40. Sarah, "Is someone there?" She takes a tentative step forward. The door stops moving, halfway closed now, creating a dark wedge that obscures half the hallway. Sarah's hand trembles as she reaches for her phone. No service, the Wi-Fi icon spinning uselessly. Sarah, voice shaking, "This isn't funny." Silence answers her. She grabs a heavy textbook from her desk and approaches the door, holding it like a weapon. Each step feels like walking through water. Her breath comes in short, sharp gasps. She's 3 feet away when the door slams shut with a bang that rattles the walls. Sarah screams, dropping the book. It hits the floor with a dull thud. She stares at the closed door, her heart hammering so hard she can feel it in her throat. Several long seconds pass. Then, a soft knock from the other side. Tap, tap, tap. Sarah, barely audible. "Who's there?" Another knock, slower this time. Tap, tap, tap. Sarah continued. "I'm calling the police." She fumbles with her phone, but it's completely dead now. The screen won't even turn on. The knocking stops. Sarah backs away from the door until her legs hit the bed. She sits down hard, never taking her eyes off the doorknob. It begins to turn. Left, then right, testing, searching. Sarah, louder, trying to sound brave. "Get away from my door!" The knob stops moving, and in the terrible silence that follows, Sarah hears something that makes her blood run cold. Breathing. Heavy, wet breathing on the other side of the door. She wants to scream, to run, but there's nowhere to go. She's on the 4th floor. The window leads to nothing but a fatal drop. Then a voice, low, raspy, wrong, seeps through the door like smoke. Voice, barely human. "Let me in, Sarah." Tears stream down her face. How does it know her name? Sarah, sobbing, "Please, just leave me alone." Voice, "You left it open. You invited me. Now let me in." Sarah's mind races. Left what open? She hasn't left her apartment in 3 days. Not since the breakup. Not since Mark took everything and... Wait, her eyes go wide. 3 nights ago, after Mark left, she'd been so angry, so broken, she'd gone to that website, the one her roommate warned her about before moving out, the one that promised answers, closure, revenge. She'd followed the instructions, drew the symbols, said the words, left her bedroom door open at midnight as an invitation. But nothing happened. She'd fallen asleep waiting, woke up the next morning feeling foolish, and scrubbed away the symbols from her floor. Sarah, whispering, oh God, what did I do?" Voice, "You opened a door, Sarah. Now I'm here to close it." The doorknob begins to turn again, but this time it doesn't stop. The lock clicks open from the inside. Sarah leaps from the bed and throws herself against the door, pressing her full weight against it. The wood feels ice cold against her palms. Something pushes from the other side, not hard, just steady, relentless pressure that makes the door bulge inward. Sarah screams, "No, you can't come in! I didn't mean it!" Voice, now multiple voices overlapping,
But you said the words, you drew the symbols, you opened yourself to us. The pressure increases. Sarah's feet begin to slide backwards on the hardwood floor. She digs in her heels, but it's not enough. I take it back! I take it all back! Voice, too late. The door is closing, Sarah, and you're on the wrong side. Sarah's eyes dart wildly around the room. On her desk, her laptop screen has changed. The document she was working on is gone. Instead, there's text appearing, line by line, as if someone is typing. The door closed slowly on its own. She tried to stop it. She failed. She always fails. Sarah, realization dawning. No, this already happened, didn't it? This is... Voice, almost gentle now. The loop, Sarah. You've been here before. You'll be here again, every night at midnight, forever. Sarah's resistance crumbles. The door pushes open an inch, then two. She can see something in the gap now. Not darkness, but something worse. Movement, shapes, faces she almost recognizes. Then, impossibly, she sees herself, standing in the hallway, pale, hollow-eyed, mouth open in a silent scream. Other Sarah, whisper, "Help me, help me, help me." Sarah stumbles backward. The door swings fully open. The hallway beyond is no longer her hallway. It stretches infinitely in all directions, filled with doors, hundreds of them, thousands of them, all slowly closing on their own. Behind each door, she can hear screaming. Behind each door, she knows, is another version of her, trapped in their own moment of terror, replaying it endlessly. Voice, welcome home. The door begins to close again, slowly, deliberately. Sarah tries to run for it, but her legs won't move. She's frozen, watching as the opening narrows. Just before it shuts completely, she sees her laptop screen one final time. Draft number 1847. The door closed slowly on its own. The door slams shut. Darkness. Then a soft creak.
The rain hammered against my windshield as I pulled into Marcus's driveway. 3 days. That's how long it had been since anyone had heard from him. 3 days of unanswered calls, ignored texts, and a growing knot of dread in my stomach. Marcus never went dark like this, not without telling someone. I killed the engine and sat there, staring at his house through the streaked glass. Every window glowed with warm light. Music drifted faintly from inside, that indie rock band he'd been obsessed with lately. A shadow moved past the living room window. Relief flooded through me. He was home. He was fine. Probably just forgot to charge his phone or something equally stupid. I grabbed my jacket and ran through the rain to his front door. It was unlocked. Marcus always left it unlocked when he was home, despite my constant nagging about safety. "Marcus?" I called out, shaking water from my hair as I stepped inside. "Dude, you had us all worried sick!" No response. Just the music playing from the living room. I walked down the hallway, my wet shoes squeaking on the hardwood floor. "Marcus, seriously, this isn't funny. Katie's been calling everyone." I stopped, at the living room entrance. The room was exactly as Marcus always kept it. His laptop sat open on the coffee table, screen glowing. A half-empty mug of coffee sat beside it, steam still rising from the surface. His favorite hoodie was draped over the couch arm. The TV played silently, some nature documentary about deep-sea creatures. But Marcus wasn't there. "Marcus?" My voice came out smaller this time. I moved through the house, room by room. Kitchen, empty, but dishes in the sink, some still wet. Bathroom, empty, toothbrush still damp. His bedroom, empty, bed unmade, clothes scattered on the floor like he'd just changed. Everything suggested he'd been here minutes ago, except Marcus himself. I pulled out my phone and called him. From somewhere upstairs, his ringtone started playing. I followed the sound to his bedroom, where his phone sat charging on the nightstand, vibrating with my incoming call. My heart started beating faster. I went back downstairs. Maybe he'd stepped outside. Maybe he was in the garage. There had to be an explanation. That's when I noticed the basement door was open. Just a crack. A thin line of light spilled from the gap. "Marcus? You down there?" Nothing. I approached the door slowly. Something felt wrong. The air felt wrong. Too still. Too quiet beneath the music still playing in the living room. I opened the door wider. The wooden steps descended into yellow light. I could see Marcus's workbench at the bottom, tools scattered across its surface. "Marcus, if you're trying to scare me, it's working." I started down the steps, each one creaking under my weight. The basement smelled like concrete and oil and something else, something organic, something that made my nose wrinkle. Halfway down, I stopped. I could see more of the basement now. The workbench, the storage shelves, the old furniture covered in sheets, and something else. A shape on the floor. Crumpled. Dark. "Marcus?" I took another step, then another. My hand gripped the railing so hard my knuckles went white. It wasn't Marcus. It was his hoodie, the same one I'd seen draped over the couch arm upstairs. But that was impossible. I'd seen it there 30 seconds ago. Hadn't I? My phone buzzed in my pocket, making me jump. A text from Katie. "Did you find him?" I typed back with shaking fingers. "At his house. He's not here, but..." Another buzz, but I hadn't finished sending. I looked at the screen. A text from Marcus. "I'm right behind you." Ice flooded my veins. I spun around. The stairs were empty. "Marcus?" My voice cracked. "This isn't funny." My phone buzzed again. "Marcus, I know." Then again, "I've been trying to warn you." Again, "It's in the house." Again, "It's been pretending to be me." The lights upstairs went out. All of them, simultaneously. The music stopped mid-song. The only light now came from the basement, and I was standing in it, visible, exposed. I ran up the stairs, taking them two at a time. My flashlight barely cut through the darkness. I could hear something moving in the living room, something that breathed wrong, too wet, too raspy. I got to the front door and grabbed the handle. Locked. But I'd come through this door. I'd left it unlocked. "Going somewhere?" The voice came from the living room. It sounded like Marcus, almost like someone doing an impression of Marcus, close enough to fool you in the dark, over the phone, through a door. Close enough if you weren't really listening. I grabbed a lamp from the hallway table and smashed the window beside the door. Glass exploded outward. Rain blew in. Behind me, footsteps, slow, deliberate. We were having such a nice time. I made coffee. I played his music. I wore his skin around the house like a favorite shirt. I didn't look back. I climbed through the window, glass tearing at my jacket. I fell onto the wet porch, scrambled to my feet, and ran to my car. The engine roared to life. I threw it in reverse, tires screaming. In the rearview mirror, I saw it standing in the doorway, illuminated by my taillights. It wore Marcus's face like a mask that didn't quite fit. The eyes were wrong. The smile was too wide. The proportions were almost right, but not quite, like a photograph slightly out of focus. It waved. I drove. 3 blocks away, I called the police. They found Marcus 2 hours later, alive, locked in his neighbor's shed. He'd been there for 3 days. Hypothermic, dehydrated, but alive. He said something had come to his door that first night, something that looked like his girlfriend, Katie. She'd asked to come in, said she'd forgotten her keys. He'd almost let her in. He'd almost opened the door. But the eyes were wrong. I started waking up at 3:47 a.m. Every night. Same time, no alarm, no reason. Just my eyes snapping open in the darkness, heart already racing before my mind caught up to tell me why. The first time it happened, I blamed the coffee. The second time, stress. By the fifth night, I knew something was wrong. Because every time I woke, I felt it. Someone watching me. I live alone. Third floor apartment, locked doors, locked windows. Safe, secure, alone. Except I wasn't. Night 6, 3:47 a.m. My eyes opened. The feeling crashed over me like ice water, that primal certainty that prey animals must feel. You are being observed. You are being studied. You are being hunted. I didn't want to look at the doorway. My bedroom door always stayed open. I hated closed doors, hated the trapped feeling. But now I regretted it. Now I understood why children fear the dark gap of an open door. I looked anyway. Nothing, just darkness and the faint outline of the hallway beyond. I exhaled, closed my eyes, tried to sleep. Then I heard it. Breathing. Not mine. Slower. Deeper. Patient. My eyes shot open. The doorway was still empty, but the breathing continued. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the hallway. Empty. Nothing but white walls and hardwood floor. The breathing stopped. I kept the light on for 20 minutes. Eventually, exhaustion won. I slept with my phone clutched in my hand. Night 7, 3:47 a.m. This time, I didn't turn on the light. I kept my eyes closed, listening. The breathing started almost immediately. In, out. In, out. Steady, rhythmic, close. Too close. It sounded like it was coming from the doorway, right at the threshold, as if something stood there in the darkness, watching me sleep, waiting for me to acknowledge it. I kept my eyes shut. Some animal part of my brain screamed that if I didn't see it, it wasn't real. If I didn't look, it couldn't hurt me. The breathing continued for hours. I didn't sleep. I barely moved. At 6:15 a.m., my alarm went off. Normal morning sounds flooded in. Traffic outside, a neighbor's shower running, birds chirping. The breathing was gone. I called in sick to work, spent the day searching my apartment, every closet, under the bed, behind furniture. I checked the locks 3 times. I searched for hidden cameras, for rational explanations. Nothing. That night, I almost stayed at a hotel. Almost. But some stubborn part of me refused to be driven from my own home by my imagination. Night 8, 3:47 a.m. My eyes opened. The breathing was already there, louder now, eager. And this time, I saw it. A face, right there in the doorway, hovering at eye level, pale in the darkness, features blurred, indistinct, like a photograph taken through frosted glass. But the eyes were clear, black, empty, fixed on me. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't even breathe. We stared at each other, me paralyzed in my bed, it suspended in the doorway. Then it smiled. The mouth stretched too wide, too many teeth, all wrong. I lunged for the light switch. The lamp blazed to life. The doorway was empty. I sat there, back against the headboard, every light in the apartment on until sunrise. I didn't go to work. I called a priest, then a locksmith, then my landlord. I was babbling about intruders, about security, about breaking my lease. The landlord came over. We searched together. He looked at me with growing concern, suggested maybe I was stressed, maybe I should talk to someone. I knew how I sounded. I knew what I looked like. Wild-eyed, unwashed, terrified of my own bedroom. That night, I slept on the couch, left every light on, locked the bedroom door from the outside. 3:47 a.m. I woke anyway. The breathing started, coming from the bedroom, from behind the locked door. Then, a knock. Soft, polite. 3 taps on the wood. I watched the doorknob. It turned slowly, back and forth, testing the lock. "Please," I whispered, "please leave me alone." The knocking stopped. For a moment, silence. Then the breathing moved. I could track it by sound. It traveled along the hallway, past the kitchen, towards the living room, towards me. I grabbed my keys and ran, didn't even put on shoes, just ran out of my apartment, down 3 flights of stairs, into the street. I spent the rest of the night in my car. When the sun came up, I went back inside. Everything was exactly as I'd left it. The bedroom door still locked, no signs of forced entry, nothing disturbed. But on the coffee table where I'd been sleeping, there was something new. A photograph. Old. Faded. The kind developed in a dark room, edges yellowed with age. It showed my apartment, my bedroom. The angle was from the doorway, looking in at the bed. Someone was sleeping there. The photo was too grainy to make out features, but I knew. It was me. I turned the photograph over. Written on the back in handwriting I didn't recognize, Night 1. My hands shook. Night 1? But I'd only been waking up for 8 nights. I'd only lived here for 3 months. I looked closer at the photo, at the person sleeping in my bed. They weren't wearing my pajamas. The hairstyle was wrong. Longer. This wasn't from the past week. This was old. Years old, maybe. Someone had been watching that bed long before I ever slept in it. I moved out that day. Broke my lease, lost my deposit, didn't care. But here's the thing about being chosen, the thing about being watched. It doesn't matter where you go. I'm in a hotel now, new city, new state, fresh start. Last night I fell asleep with the TV on for company. This morning I woke at 3:47 a.m. and there, in the gap between the bathroom door and the frame, barely visible in the flickering TV light, a face, pale, watching, smiling. It followed me. Or maybe it was never about the apartment at all. Maybe it was always about me. Tonight, I won't sleep. I'll stay awake. I'll keep every light on. Wait. It's 3:46 a.m. 1 more minute. I can feel it getting closer. The breathing has started.